There we go. Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and we're in part 2 of the DungeonSwag December swag box giant here. And yesterday I went through and I got some bass tones down and kind of got an idea of what we're looking at going. And today we're going to continue on. So I'm going to start now. I'm getting my dark brown here. This is burnt umber from, I've been using all Walmart paint for this. Walmart's apple barrel paint. I don't know if you can buy that at other places besides Walmart. That's just where I get it. So I'm not an expert on this. And we're going to start on wood. So we have a log on his shoulder, like a tree growing on his shoulder, a stump. Get a little bit of water. Ugh. I don't want to go too thick and lose all the shading I have. Keep as much shading from the original paint over this area that I can keep. Okay. Something like that. We have some more, a little bit of like roots or something here. Grab that stuff. I don't know if that's all roots or what, I can't tell. And then we'll get this same paint and we'll do these logs on the chest and his weapon and his shoulder. I'm trying to intentionally miss the ropes so I don't darken those up too much and have to come back and fight with those later. A little chilly out again. It was warming up and then I came down here and it's chilly. I'm going to be going on vacation for a whole week soon, starting on Christmas Eve. I believe I'm taking a week's of vacation. Not quite a week, because I have some stuff that has to be done by the end of the year, and it heavily relies on the people that work for me turning in all their stuff on time, and I don't have faith in that system, so I'm going to go back a couple days before the end of the year to make sure I have time to get everything caught up and good. Okay. I'm going to come back here behind these logs and carefully from behind hit those, even though I don't think you'll see that part, but it's good to hit it. And then I missed a part of the belt here with that medium brown that I did the rest of the belt in. I'm just going to come in here. This is pretty watered down. I'm going to come in here and darken this up to make sure it all matches. And there's a little bit behind the logs there that needs darkened up just to make sure that everything's congruent. Okay, let's get more paint. Do these shoulder logs. I have too much on my brush. That'll learn me. I always say like that'll learn you or that'll learn me or whatever. The truth is this, you know, I do learn new stuff. But it's like I'm kind of old and set in my ways to an extent. And even though I try to learn something new every day and I try to learn new things, trying to teach me life lessons is really hard because I'm just so damn set in my ways. Like, it's just like if someone's been a jerk their whole life and they're 50 years old and you run up and try to fight them because they've never had an ass beating, hoping that will be the defining moment when they realize they're a jerk. It just won't work. They're already broken inside. That's kind of how I view myself in some ways. Not saying I'm broken inside. I mean, I think I'm a functioning member of society. I have a job. I pay taxes. I try to treat people good. I try to help people in need. You know, I'm functioning. But just don't think you can teach me any lessons anymore that I'm not trying to learn is my problem. Sometimes that is not true. Like the famous story, well, it's not famous, but the story that I tell a lot about, like learning lessons this late in life. There's a little piece of support there. All right, let me get a toothpick. So I think it might have been last year or the year before. I really just lost my cool at work, and I cussed my boss out really hard. And he just kind of smiled. He was in my work car, in my company car. He smiled. He got out. He walked over to his vehicle. He didn't say anything, and he just drove away. And then I'm like, oh shit, I think I'm fired. So I try to call him. He doesn't answer. Try to call him. I drive home. I try to call him. He doesn't answer. I start getting real panicky. So finally, I don't know if it was the next day or whenever. I can't remember now. Finally, at some point, like a couple days later maybe, he calls me. And he says, did you learn anything? I said, yeah. If I cuss you out, you'll give me the silent treatment. Am I fired or anything? He said, no, you're not fired. You just had to learn your lesson. And I said, what? I get the silent treatment if I cuss at you? And he goes, no. The lesson is that sometimes good employees have bad days, and you got to let them vent. And if you overreact and escalate it, something good can be destroyed that quick. And I thought, what an amazing lesson. Like, it didn't even occur to me that was a lesson. That's amazing. And I'll tell you what, I have not been cussed out by any of my employees, but I've had a couple guys get snippy and stuff like that. And I just kind of, I learned a valuable lesson. Don't escalate it. Good employees have bad days. And there's absolutely no reason to blow it out of proportion and turn it into something that doesn't have to be. So I'm so thankful for that lesson. So when I say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or that'll learn me doesn't work on me, there are moments where somebody does something profound or different or mind-blowing that does affect me in that way. And I implore all of you, especially if you're in a leadership position or you wish to be in a leadership position, to take that lesson with you wherever you go, because that is actually a killer lesson to have in your toolbox of things you know. Obviously, it doesn't apply in every situation. There are lines, like if an employee hauls up and just starts like karate chopping you in the nuts or in the boob or whatever parts you have, that's not okay. I'm not saying that's okay at all. But what I am saying is, if they get a little mad and cuss a little bit, or I was actually cussing quite a bit, which I usually don't do, but not angrily anyways. I mean, I swear, but I don't haul up and start giving people the poo. So yeah, it was a good lesson for me. I needed that lesson. I had no idea what... Those are metal, I think, but it's okay if I get a little brown on those because we're going to come back and do those in metal. Well, they are metal. They're like big railroad spikes. I'm not sure in what era this guy exists that he has railroad spikes. I think I also want to send some of this out and darken up the outside of this that I want to kind of dry brush down to a wicker. I'm not sure how that's going to look, though. We can try it and see. I just want to darken it up a little bit, though. I don't want to go over the top. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about the logs and stuff. Let's get some of the lighter spots and just hit them with a little bit more real quick. We do want some different shading on the wood than we have on the rest of the miniature. We wanted like a different contrast on those woods. All right, so for the stone, and there's quite a bit of stone, I don't have a great plan. So let's start with my favorite color in the entire world, pavement. Because when you're doing stones, fantasy realism is always, always, always going to work. Unless you're some kind of pro. But if you're throwing stuff together on your tabletop, this fantasy realism style I use with these like bold colors that represent like my rocks are this color, or my wood is this color and stuff. And I can do little variations off of that as long as there's consistency across the projects, It ties it all together. So when it comes to this fantasy realism style I do, that's what I call it. I don't know what other people call it. Like, don't think that I know anything about stuff. That's just like a doom term. But yeah, it's a me thing. Sorry. Well, that's not a rock. That's a part of his little belt thing. See, I got excited. For those of you that are waiting for the Hero and the Beastman box on the DungeonSwag website, we had some scaling issues we had to get through, trying to make sure everything fit nice and you know, we could print it all in a reasonable amount to save time and money. And we wanted to make sure that some of the miniatures weren't too small or too big, because sometimes our artist's scale versus our scale doesn't mesh well, because he designs everything in 32, but we print for Dungeons and Dragons, which is, you know, predominantly 28. And then sometimes we scale things way down or way up to make it into something besides it's, you know, designed. Like this guy's actually like that tall usually. But, you know, it would just be unrealistic to try to send them out, and that would need special boxes, and so we've shrunk him down to where he's manageable and we can afford to do it. And unfortunately, even this shrunk down, we lose money on this guy to keep it in our price points that we've set, but that's okay, we don't care. I think this is the only print we lose a bunch of money on. I say a bunch, it's not a bunch, it's I don't know the exact number. I could look it up if I cared enough to come back and report to you guys about our business dealings. I don't know if I do. I like y'all, but you guys got no ownerships in the comp. So, a Scorbic, the other half of DungeonSwag, he is like a 3D printing guru. He has just an amazing eye for making stuff work that I do not possess. And I thought to myself, you know, he's going to be going through some stuff later on where he might not be as available and able to do all the things I need as quick as I get them done now. And part of me is super sad about that, because I'm so spoiled by him just doing whatever I ask really quick that, you know, it's going to make me cry. We've been really good friends for years. I'm just being silly. He'll, you know, we both work full-time jobs, and sometimes stuff just doesn't get done on the timetable we want it to. Man, there are rocks on his boobs and everything. That's so weird. So much rocks on this guy. Okay. And then Mrs. Doom was listening to NSYNC and Backstreet Boys Christmas. So even if I wanted to go upstairs and play video games or read or write or work on the book or anything else I wanted to do, I would be subjected to torture that I cannot stand or bear. And I have not the heart to power through. So coming down and doing a video was literally my only option. So I'm going to go ahead and paint all the metal parts with this, because instead of painting these all solid metal, I'm going to hit it with some reddish brown in some spots, and then I'm going to do some metallics to kind of make it look like this is not a kept weapon. You know, this is like a rusty, you know, improvised kind of deal that's not maintained, or I don't know what I'm thinking. Something like that. The words that I'm saying, put those in a real sentence and use those. Okay? Thanks. English for me help. In my regular life, like I know on the channel I like make noises and say weird things and stuff. But like in my regular job, I can't like be like speaking and pretend that I'm Russian and stuff in the middle of my workday. You know, people would be like, what the hell, you know, what's Doom doing? But the other day at work, somebody said the red wall, and there was a wall that was red where we were at. And I was like, the red wall, this is ever consuming. And once you enter, you can never leave. I don't know why I said it. And everybody's like, wow, that was pretty good. And I was just like, yeah, I don't know what that, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. It's just being silly. I have a really bad Sean Connery impression that I do as well. It's terrible. It's like the worst. For years, I thought it was really good, though. And then I heard it like on a recording, and I was like, oh, man, that is terrible. And for years, I'm like, man, my Sean Connery is killer. I'd be at a party and be like, you got to hear my Sean Connery. Dumbass. I always would make the NPCs would always have some kind of Sean Connery. I sound more like Deckard Cain from Diablo than I do Sean Connery. So it turns out to be an okay Deckard Cain impression. All right, so let's get that brush cleaned out. And we're going to get khaki, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to water it down, and we're going to start hitting some of these straps and stuff. And some of these ones that we could make look more like bandages, maybe. So, like on his feet here, these could be bandages. You want to be real careful. You don't do what I just did and touch the skin. And I didn't bring any Q-tips down here, and I'm out. You guys don't usually see me use Q-tips, but I actually do use Q-tips quite a lot. I just don't really use them on the channel because I don't use them on like my fast stuff that I do. I use them more on like better work. See if I can do the same thing with toilet paper. It's not as good as a Q-tip, but it kind of works. Crap. I think that'll be hidden when we give this guy a wash. And some other spots where we could have that light color at. This could be, yeah. Okay, let me get some of that out of the brush. This could be more like a wrap or a bandage here. We just got to be super careful not to screw up around his arm because it looks pretty decent and we don't want to ruin that. Let's take our time. And if you don't hit every single spot of it, that's okay too. Because that's going to create some natural variation in there that could be useful to make a better story with our paint job. Okay, those are both on the same side, which makes it kind of awkward. And this side doesn't have a wrap. It's like folds of skin. That tricked me into thinking it was a wrap. So, let's see, we got to do some work on leather. So to do some work on leather, let's get an orangish brown. I have chestnut. I have another color called nutmeg that would be good for this, I think, too, but I'm not using the nutmeg right now. I'm using the chestnut. So we're going to create some variation on the leather, and what we're going to do is try to, since it's patched, it's like got patchwork, what we're going to do is try to pull out some of those patches and give them an orangish brown tone. So my paint is very watered down, and I'm just going to pick a triangle to try this on, a patch to try this on. Okay, there we go. And I think that's going to work okay. I'm going to get in here and try this one too. Let's see if there's one on the front. Yeah, there is one on the front. Oh, don't want to go there. I want to go here. And I don't know if I want to hit any more with that color. All right. I also want to use this for the straps on around his wrists here, on his bracers or gauntlets or whatever you call it, bracers, to give them a little variation. I'm going to do one of these straps across his shoulder here, just to give it a little change up. And I'm not going all the way to the edges. I'm just kind of dragging that along in there roughly. And I'm going to hit some of these too, I think, just to darken these up a little bit. I'm not doing a perfect job. I'm just kind of adding some variation in there where I can and where I'd like to, just to make these a little less dull. And I think that's about all I wanted to hit up on him there. I will come up and hit this piece of like jagged cloth that's on his shoulder underneath the logs. Some kind of like, you know, to stop it from rubbing on his shoulder when he's walking and fighting, I suppose. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to get that melted chocolate that we used as kind of a base tone for a lot of those straps. And I'm leaving whatever's in my brush on my brush. I'm going to get some of that tan. And I'm going to make another color. I'm going to get a little bit of water. And I just dip the very tip of my brush in that water. And then I'm going to do some of the other panels on his loincloth here with that. Okay. We'll do that panel there. And even though that's not going to be super, you know, noticeable to the eye, that little bit of variation as it dries will mean something in the final art, the final project, final product, whatever. And I'm not using the same amount of ferocity on these panels. You know, some of them I'm going to do a little harder, and some of them I'm just going to drag it along and make it variation, create variation, whatever, you know. It's personal choice, though. You can do it how you wish. I should have painted these metal rings while I was up here when I was doing the gray, but I did not. All right, so let's get. I have some stuff there to do, some stuff there to do. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to lightly drag my brush along. I need water. A little more paint. I'm going to lightly drag my brush along these, and I'm trying to decide if I want this to be leather or not. Need more paint. All right, and then this is going to be my color, my last color I use on this brown with a little teeny bit of red in it. It's going to be the last color I use on any paneling here. So I'm going to, you know, touch that up with that. And it's got such a small amount of red in it. I don't know if it'll really stand out from the other or not. Like, I'm not sure. But I am going to just hit some spots to change things up. Okay. Let's get a light color. A beige all by itself. I'll use khaki to start. Okay. And whatever color was left in the brush from that. And let's hit some of these rope areas with that and try to lighten those up. You don't want to hit these perfect because you don't want them to look like brand new nice ropes. You just want to hit these so that when we put our wash on, that you can tell they're a much lighter, significantly lighter color. Oh. Somebody must be up at the front door. The doggos are yorping. Really, really love my job, though. My day job. Not this. I mean, I love this too, but I love my job. I'm trying really hard to build it into something amazing for my company in the future. I don't want to just be that guy that puts in the bare minimum and gets by. I want more. I want to give more. I want to do more. Like, I have like all these like thoughts about it. Pavement, what have you going? I found my pavement. All right, so we're going to do that spoon in the pavement, maybe. And these rings. Okay. I'm not going for the best, most perfect coat ever on these rings. My paint's very thin. My suspicion is that when the brown shows through when it dries, it'll help create a better variation to the ring. And then for the spoon, I'm going to leave that spoon wooden, I think. I'm not going to go metal with that. So is there any other metals on him that I missed? I don't think so. I do need to do something with that rope around his neck that's holding that on. I should have done that with the khaki. Alright, we're going to get the khaki and we're going to wipe a lot of that out of the brush. Make sure our brush is still a little bit damp though. Then we're going to follow that rope real kindly and lightly. Almost like the gentle touch of a lover. La 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 la, love it when you touch me that way. And it doesn't have to be perfect, that's good enough. Alright, for stone. Oh. So I'm going to get a medium tone. This is pewter gray. Hold on. Alright, so I'm going to get a medium gray, and I'm not going to use my #1 brush. I'm going to get something with plastic bristles for this. So I have these little cheapy brushes. They're not labeled or anything, I don't think. Oh wait, this one is labeled. I can't read it. Maybe it says 1. I don't know. It's definitely, if it was a 1, it's not now. So I'm gonna get a lot of that off there. All right. And I'm just going to hit these rocks lightly with that and create a little variation on them before we come back and dry brush them with something lighter. And if you don't go overboard with this, you can not worry about getting it on your other parts of flesh and stuff too much. If you go too far with it, well, you might have to go back and play clean up a little bit. Sorry, I'm sniffing and snorting. I still can't damn breathe. Yeah, I know I've done those. I'm just kind of coming over them again, trying to make sure I've lightened them up enough and created some variation to work with. I'm going to hit these rings a little bit too with that. I'm going to also hit some spots on these nails or whatever, the railroad spikes or whatever they are. Just break those up a little bit. I kind of want to hit those a little bit more. Make sure those look okay. All right, we're getting about that time. I'm going to have to do this on a third part, maybe a fourth. I didn't realize it was getting to that point. I thought we had it under control, but it's taking a long time. This is elephant gray. It's like a medium to light gray. So the first time I'm just hitting everywhere, right? Just to lighten it all up. And the second time through, I'm leaving a tiny bit more paint on the brush. But I'm just coming down along the high points that stick out to give the semblance that light's coming from above. And you don't have to do this everywhere, because if you can capture that look in a few spots and people are looking, they'll see it, okay? Okay. Come back and touch those just a little bit more, lighten those up. Okay. All right, so I think that's all I can do right now. When we come back, we'll work on doing some lines of variation, and then we will do the toenails, fingernails, eyes, mouth, and stuff, and then we will put a wash on this dude. And then after the wash, I'll do the base. I probably won't show that on a video. You guys can handle bases by now if you've been watching. And if you're watching me for a tutorial, well, go watch Miniac or Squidmar or somebody that knows how to paint. So, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, all that happy crappy. And leave a comment. And go to the website and buy some miniatures. These ones. And I'll see you next time. Hey, thanks for watching.